Welcome back. If someone asks you to name an artist, you might say Picasso, Monet, maybe Banksy. Would you consider someone with mental illness as an artist? What about someone with no professional experience at all? The Institute of Contemporary Art is looking to change your perception of what art is in their newest exhibit. Take a look. Amidst the construction boom on Boston's waterfront stands the Institute of Contemporary Art. But the emergence of high-priced high-rises won't stop the ICA from elevating art to a new level. Cue When the Stars Begin to Fall, Imagination and the American South.
I was interested in looking at an American context because it plays out very differently, not only in terms of race, but also in terms of national identity.
From origin to exile, 35 artists examine their relationship with the South, most notably artists of African descent.
I think we all know that artists of African descent are some of the most important artists living and working today.
Some works on display feature locally found materials, others an exploration of the black human body. Then there are textual revelations of a haunted Southern past. Founding curator Thomas Lapp.
I think that the South continues to loom very large for African Americans.
The Southern historical space creates a kind of imagination that allows us to deal with both the kind of personal level of feeling and experience and the big kind of political problems that we all face in the United States.
Performing artist Malik Gaines is showing his work, Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair, a mixed media display blending civil rights pop culture with white Southern roots.
The Scottish Appalachian song of mysterious origin, but that also was recorded by Nina Simone and others in the 60s. We asked different artists, musicians, dancers, writers to come in over a 24-hour period and help us extend the song for 24 hours. The show has drawings and a 24-minute video document that show a lot of the process.
From video to sculpture, When the Stars Begin to Fall questions the artist's inspiration, their identity, and the South as a real or fantastical place. Yet in this exhibit, not all questions can or should have answers.
I think that for a lot of people it was an unknown, and I think that was what was most interesting to me. If you know exactly why you're doing something, then there's no reason to do it.
Art lovers will find prominent contemporary artists. They share space with outsider artists as well.
What's great about doing a show like this is that you have an opportunity to see artists who are never shown together. So outsider art is a fraught term, encapsulates artists who are either self-taught or working in isolation, people who are incarcerated either in the prison industrial complex or in mental institutions.
A central piece in the exhibit, Jacoby Satterwhite's collaboration with his homebound and schizophrenic mother, Patricia. Her simplistic drawings blend into his stylized digital backdrop, begging for viewers to look deeper.
This exhibition offers a kind of thought experiment to give viewers something that we might have received and thought we knew quite well.
Contemporary art is a much broader and more interesting and more nuanced idea than sometimes gets represented.
I hope that people that come here have an occasion to ask themselves basic questions about what art is, about who art is for and who counts as an artist, and about how performance and visual art are deeply entangled and intimately tied to one another.
When the Stars Begin to Fall, Imagination and the American South is on display now through May 10th. But while you're at the ICA, head downstairs and find Aqua Holmes' interactive community exhibit, Making Place. The Roxbury artist recently made national news as the creator of the Google Doodle for this year's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Her use of newspaper clippings and vibrant colors also convey a sense of place, just like When the Stars Begin to Fall. And she joins us now. Aqua Holmes, hi.
Hello, Karen. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Tell us about this process of being selected for that Google Doodle.
Such a surprise. I got an email from a gentleman who said, I'm from Google and we'd like to do a project with you. And I thought to myself, sure. This has got to be some kind of scam, exactly. So I kind of said, tell me more. And I didn't hear from him for about a week and a half. So I said, see, I knew it was nothing. A week and a half later, he gets back to me and he sends me more details and a link to this whole Google Doodle archive, which I had never heard of it. And I asked him, I said, well, how did you find me? He said, oh, you know, we look online. We're always researching. We found you online. And I think, how do you find someone online? It's such a broad opportunity. But anyway, we got into the sketches and the subject matter, and they chose this particular sketch that I sent. And I guess the rest is history.
Oh, my goodness. Now, how long was the creative process for you to create that piece?
It was only about 3 weeks because, as I said, he didn't get back to me for a week and a half, and I was kind of like, yeah, right. And so in about 3 weeks, I did the sketches, put the piece together, and sent it in. And then on January 19th, there it was.
Now, of course, the world now knows about the art of Akua Holmes. We've known about you here in Boston for many years. Tell our audience what first attracted you to art and why you were attracted to collage.
Okay. I think that I was born to do this work. And of course, you know, I've had a pathway through different opportunities. But as the youngest of the 9 grandchildren, I think my grandmother was a little tired, so she used to sit me at her desk with junk mail and some scissors, and I would cut and make my little world. And I feel like that childhood pursuit sort of stayed with me, and hopefully it's a little bit more sophisticated now. But what I like about it is taking something old, something new, and sort of merging them together to make something completely unique.
So it all started in childhood.
I think so.
Yeah. Your exhibit, Making Place, intersects with When the Stars Begin to Fall, both at the ICA. Did the exhibit inspire you, or tell us about how the themes of your piece came together?
When the ICA approached me and talked about When the Stars Begin to Fall, it's about Southern landscape, Southern place, and that the artists that are in that show are contemplating on that and responding to that. And they wanted me to submit a proposal for something that I would do. And I thought, well, we have a landscape here in Boston. I'm definitely a homegrown girl. And I feel like growing up in Roxbury has influenced who I am as a person, as well as the artwork that I create. And so I wanted to create a space where people could come in and reflect on being from Boston, living in an urban center, a lot of the changes that are going on. As you mentioned earlier, there are tons of big buildings going up, big expensive buildings, and at the same time, older landmarks are being torn down, like the Dearborn School, which there's a lot of controversy around that. So how do we feel about that? What do we love about where we live, and how does it inform who we are?
Now, not only are you an artist, but you're a leader in the arts community. Give us your perspective of the landscape for how art has changed for artists of color in Boston.
Well, I'm happy to see a show like When the Stars Begin to Fall. Some of my favorite artists that I've only seen in books are there now at the ICA for me to interact with, the Gordon Parks exhibition at the Museum of Fine Arts. But what I see, the trend that I see is that African American artists are not being compartmentalized in the same way. We're not being relegated to February, which was a big problem in the past. Like, you got so much attention in February, and then the rest of the year you weren't relevant. But the truth is that we work in a lot of different styles, we work on a lot of different subject matters, and we fit in lots of different places. So I see that opening up a bit, and that makes me feel really good.
And in the control room, they want me to find out if the Google Doodle is going to be available for purchase.
It will be. I am organizing it as a fundraiser for about 3 or 4 foundations. I'd love to see that piece build up some institutions and some foundations.
Okay.
And the information will be available on my website, which you'll probably put up, but it's akuaholmes.com.
akuaholmes.com. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
You can find Akua's interactive exhibit, Making Place, at the ICA every Saturday and Sunday afternoon through May 10th. Need any more ideas? Don't forget, we've got a few. Stay tuned.